What up, y'all?
What up?
It is me and David again, like we said we would.
Not talking about corn.
Yeah, not talking about corn yet. New corn comes out Friday.
Friday next week. Hell yeah.
Fucking
1 week from
now.
today.
Fucking, we should probably definitely plan on reviewing that shit.
Right? Yeah. I read something about it where they were talking about it's kind of like the paradigm shift, which scares me.
Oh no. No.
But I was like, I've heard 2 songs and I like 2 songs that are on the new album already. So I didn't like 2 songs on the old album, so I don't think it's gonna be like that. I was like, we'll see.
So today we're finally talking about the new Slipknot album. But before we get into it, I just read something because I'm not too familiar with the new Slipknot, so I had to pull up the shit to get the title
Right.
and track listing and stuff. But then I saw they have another album coming out called Look Outside Your Window. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I do a little more research, and it says Slipknot have announced they will release an experimental album titled Look Outside Your Window during the We Are Not Your Kind album and touring cycle.
Right.
The album recorded during the 2008 All Hope Is Gone sessions is expected to have 11 tracks that Taylor is describing as having a Radiohead vibe. I'm down with that. Because I love Radiohead. I'm a major Radiohead fan. So.
I saw it, right. Yeah, I saw a...
Slipknot by way of Radiohead? Or their idea of Radiohead? What?
Well, what it is, it's Corey Taylor, Jim Root, and Sean Crone together. And they got together when they were writing the All Hope Is Gone album, right? And they wrote these 11 songs, but they felt that they weren't suitable for that album specifically, so they held on to them.
And they're just now
They're like, hey, we're going to put these out because, yeah, they're Slipknot, but they're not really Slipknot. These are basically what leads up to the new album. It's like, this is how we got here, kind of. This is exactly what Sean Clown said was, it shows how we got to where we're at in the new album. So I'm pretty sure it's going to sound very experimental, like,
which I'm down with.
I'm all down for newer style, experimental kind of music, as long as it doesn't go too stone soury.
So, the album we're talking about is obviously We Are Not Your Kind,
Okay.
which was released earlier, well, shit,
August
about
8th?
a month ago. Yeah, it's September 6th now, so yeah, August 9th it says.
That's right.
So damn, it's been out a minute.
Been out a month. A little bit over.
Wow, they've recorded 22 songs and 26 interludes, with the plan initially being to produce the band's first double album. So
Producers are probably like, fuck no.
Yeah, they're like,
don't do that.
Yeah. So we only got 14 out of that, what, 48 tracks that were recorded?
Right. So I'm all for more Slipknot. Like, to me, it's like, as long as you don't
give
go
me a B-side,
backwards.
give me a unreleased albums.
Right, and I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's even the music sucks. It's smart on a
yeah, you got a little back catalog
money
to pull
kind of.
from.
You got more songs.
Let's say they break up, they could still release some crap.
Yeah.
Or one of them dies, they could still put some shit out.
So that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and so it doesn't happen. What was the song on here that you and I had reviewed a couple months ago?
Unsainted.
Unsainted. Okay, and that is
That's the first track, the first actual track. Like, they have
yeah.
Coin,
Is that the
Insert
one?
Coin, which is the intro.
That's the one with the choir
Right.
stuff, right?
The one that sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers choir.
Yeah. I was. You know what else I was thinking of today? I was like, because I had totally forgot which song it was that we had reviewed.
All Out Life and
yeah,
which is
and like it wasn't even familiar to me. I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It was almost like I was hearing it for the first time again.
It's always the best thing though.
Right.
You first hear it again.
Kind of forget it.
If you can, I think if you can forget a song, but then appreciate it later because you forgot about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, after listening to this, and I was like, I swear I've heard this before, but it doesn't sound like anything I've heard before. But it's not bad.
The choir shit. This time, instead of thinking of Red Hot Chili Peppers, I was getting a Rolling Stones vibe. Like, can't always get what you want.
Oh, good, yeah, that's true.
I saw her at the reception, and I was like, whoa.
Doesn't sound like that.
It does.
Doesn't sound that bad.
Well, it doesn't sound that bad, but it sounds like that.
Sorry.
But, so what are your thoughts on this album? Like favorite tracks and things
favorite tracks. I would say, I think. Let me start this way. Slipknot. I told you before. I think when we were doing either Korn or it might have been Slipknot, or a few years ago. I've always mentioned one thing to me is a good album can have bad songs, but it's all about placement of those songs.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that this whole album from beginning to end is a good build-up. Basically, they put their weakest songs, which aren't terrible, they're not bad or anything, they're the weakest forgettable songs. Unsainted and, I can't remember that second song. Do you have the...
Birth of the Cruel?
Yeah, Birth of the Cruel. I think are their weakest songs on the whole album. Birth of the Cruel has cool moments, but I think it's a little bit too rock for the rest of the album. And Unsainted, like I said, it's a single. It is a radio friendly kind of, hey, this is heavy, but it's only going to be played on the radio. We're going to play it on the radio, and it's something to play live because people know it because they've heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
But I think that it's perfect because, like I said, it's their weakest songs on the entire album. Because from after Birth of the Cruel, the album just gets better, and the middle of the album is the best part. I mean, the minute you hit Nero Forte, which is probably the best song on there for, of everything, Corey's flow of how he does his little rap flow kind of style,
yeah.
And then his screams are good, and then are heavy, the music's heavy, and it breaks up very, very well on Nero Forte. And then it goes into Critical Darling. Well, Death Because of You.
Death Because of You is
which
awesome
is like this real like midway.
Yeah, like it's the kind of fourth track little interlude. Like.
Right, yeah, an interlude like, hey, you just had these 3 songs, and then now we're like Death Because of You, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then it goes into Critical Darling, which is again.
Well, actually, it goes into Nero Forte.
That goes into Nero Forte.
Yeah, and then Critical Darling.
Right, and then Critical Darling. Well, Critical Darling.
It's almost like because you got the Insert Coin, and then Unsated and Birth of the Cruel, right? Mm-hmm. And then Death Because of You or Death Because of Death, and then it rolls into the Nero Forte, Critical Darling. It's almost like the album begins twice.
Right, and like I said, because both of those songs were the radio ones.
It's like you get an intro,
it was their first
then the two singles, and then boom, intro, rest of the album.
And Nero Forte, and then Critical Darling has another sick, like Corey Taylor does this whole sick flow of rap, kind of again rap style music or whatever, and then he's just building up his anger to it, and then just hits you hard with some lyrics, and then you get after that one, you get Liar's Funeral,
which was slow as fuck at first, but I liked it.
I think it's exactly
it had this cool build up to before it gets
right.
heavy.
And the thing is, I like about the Liar's Funeral is one, it's a march style. Yeah. If the tempo,
it's got a dirge to it. It's like almost like a funeral dirge kind of thing.
It's a funeral march. It's basically what it is. And I think it's probably perfect. I think this album they put 2 songs on there that are slow, kind of style. They build up each time on each song, but they're slow to that style.
My Pain is the other slow one. Which is the other slow one?
Spiders.
Spiders is cool though.
That one is sick. And that one
got a red
Marilyn
like
Manson and
musical,
Mushroomhead.
like music box kind
Right,
of thing
and
going on.
I mean that one is sick. So you have this build up, like I said, of Nero Forte, Critical Darling, A Liar's Funeral, and then you get hit with Spiders. And Spiders I like because
Still you got Red Flag and then What's Next. What's Next is another little
What's Next
interlude.
is Red Flag is good because Red Flag I think shows off Sid Wilson's DJ skills. Like he has like real high pitched stuff, and you can really hear how his DJ work goes into that song, and it's heavy as fuck too. I mean, it is a Slipknot song and that's where you can hear the old school Slipknot is on like Red Flag and Orphan.
Yeah, Orphan was bad as fuck.
And like both of those songs are heavy Slipknot songs. Like those are, we're not experimenting. We're giving you Slipknot.
Yeah.
From this is us like on the fucking stage and 555, 666 style Iowa fucking anger into both of those songs. And like I said with Red Flag, Orphan to me was great as a Slipknot song, but again it was a generic Slipknot song.
Yeah.
Because you've heard it. It's one of those songs.
That's
like,
the thing.
I've heard it on every album. It's different lyrics, different guitar riff, but you've heard it. You've heard that style, and that's the thing. It's a Slipknot song, but that's what I got from it. Like Orphan's probably not one of my favorite songs on there because of that, though.
Yeah.
Because I like when a band says, "Hey, we haven't had an album in 4 years. You still keep your sound, but we're gonna try some new stuff. We're gonna try something that maybe we did years ago, and then mix it in with some of the newer stuff." And which is why I was a big fan.
So would you say Orphans, okay, because you say Orphans is very much a standard run-of-the-mill Slipknot track.
Run-of-the-mill Slipknot.
How does it hold up to the Unsainted and Birth of the Cruel, though, as far as singles go? Because the thing is like, would it have been a better single than those two? Because are you trying to be like, boom, here's a Slipknot song for the crowd, or boom, here's a radio song for the crowd? Which would have worked better as a single?
Well, it depends, because we have satellite radio nowadays. 20 years ago we had satellite radio, but it was like stupid. So nowadays, like Orphan is a single that you would hear only on like Liquid Metal on satellite radio, on Sirius XM or something. You wouldn't hear it on regular radio.
Yeah,
it's too heavy for regular radio. That's the thing. Unsainted and Birth of the Cruel were both. Unsainted definitely was perfect for a radio song. Like, hey, we're Slipknot. We didn't like the whole Iowa album. You'll never hear Iowa on the radio.
At least not here.
Yeah,
I don't know how it
Georgia,
is anywhere else.
in the South. Maybe in Seattle you might hear it.
Yeah, California, maybe even Atlanta as far as Georgia, but
yeah, you would never hear an Iowa song, any song off of the Iowa album, down here unless it's a satellite radio song.
yeah.
Now, again, Slipknot since Iowa has become more radio friendly.
They have.
The entire album of Subliminal Verses was the radio CD. The entire album. There was like one or two songs on there that you maybe would never hear on the radio, but every song on there I pretty much heard on the radio, on regular radio. Duality's been overplayed, and I can get into that. I'm not going to. So, but I think Red Flag and Orphan though are basically they're fucking awesome Slipknot songs. But
But you've heard it before.
I've heard them before. Yeah. As I've gotten older, 10 years ago those would have been my two favorite. They're heavy as fuck. I would have been all in. But now, as I've gotten older and matured to the sound, I think that my favorite one, like I said, Nero Forte is by far the best song of the entire album. Just because of how everything they do with it. Like how it flows lyrically, how it flows instrumentally. It goes well. Every single part, even chorus in there, it just goes really well with that. A Liar's Funeral is fucking fantastic because I think out of all their albums, they finally figured out how to do a Slipknot slow song, right? Because you look at all their slow songs. I mean, Iowa had a slow song. It was Iowa. It was slow as fuck. It was 15 minutes. It was or 10 minutes or 10 15 minutes. It was long shit, and it was mostly sound effects and people screaming. So and not screaming like as the metal screams, but they're screaming out of pain and suffering, which is again kind of it's a different style of things. Now this is a Slipknot slow song though. To me, A Liar's Funeral and Spiders were basically what Snuff was being played as on the All Hope Is Gone album, and like the Vermilion on the Subliminal Verses album, and then we had what was the slow song on the Gray Chapter? They had the they didn't really have a slow song on the Gray Chapter though.
I don't remember.
Nothing. Oh, they had I don't fucking remember song name, song title. But anyway, getting to my point though is that, like I said, I think they finally figured out like their perfect. Like, yeah, we're gonna start off this slow and kind of like painful suffering kind of thing, and then he's just screaming like painfully liar, like, you know, he's like liar, and like, you know, you're just like, damn, this man hated this bitch. Like, you know who this is about. This is Slipknot's. Okay, this is not Slipknot's. All right, lyrically, every album that is made is Corey Taylor's. Lyrically, it's Corey. No one. I don't think anyone else really helps with the writing lyrically. It's all Corey Taylor. This is Corey Taylor's breakup album. This, look at all the things. Unsainted, the lyrics in there.
Red Flag.
Red Flag. I should have seen the Red Flag. You know.
What's next?
Right, and this is his breakup album. This is everything.
My Pain, Not Long for This World.
Right.
Yeah, I see.
I'm telling you, it's a breakup album, right? Nero Forte is like the darkness, or I think someone put it as the black, is what it's called. Or something like that in some language, Latin or some shit. I don't know. I don't speak Latin or any of those languages. So, but yeah, Nero Forte is I think it's translated as the black or the blackness or something like that. And then, you know, A Liar's Funeral, obviously that lying bitch kind of theme. And then Orphan is like, you know, what's the feeling of most orphans? They have, you know, the lack of someone there or something for you. And then like the Spiders is that chilling feeling that something's going wrong. I mean, it's about a cheating woman, obviously, and he's even said it. It's about he had a bad breakup, you know, with his ex. So he even said it. I mean, pretty much the album is his breakup album. Everything on there is about Corey Taylor and his ex-wife breaking up. But, you know, obviously people see it as their own thing.
Nah.
But once you find out, you're just kind of like, by the way, I broke that news. Once you find out, you're kind of like, well, fuck, I can't relate to any of that. But, you know, I'm not an angsty teen anymore. So, but I think a lot of people who've gone through bad relationships can relate.
Yeah.
And I think this is that album. But
and then too, you could put your own thing on it. You know, like for you, it doesn't have to be a lying woman. It could be a lying friend, lying family member.
Lying man, we're not judging.
Lying man, lying whatever.
Yeah, so
is popular in 2019.
And like I said, I think the middle of the album is their best part. Like I said, the Nero Forte, Critical Darling, Red Flag, Spiders. I love. Okay, now Spiders.
Spiders.
I
is
say
cool
Nero
as shit.
Forte is probably my favorite song, but Spiders is close, right? Liar's Funeral and Spiders are those three. Those right there, because Liar's Funeral I love because of that march. I love songs that give them. Avatar does it in a couple of their songs on all their albums. They have like this march, and I just love, especially when you force that anger into it, and you can tell that there's anger into it, and when he's just telling, he's like burn. Burn, and I'm just like, fuck yes, I want to be there with him, just fucking like slam it down on something. And I mean, there is some anger there. And then Spiders is just a really cool fucking song.
It just sounds cool. It's
right. And
Spiders has this cool ass
groove.
Yeah, cool ass groove, cool noise, like really cool noise. Like I said, it's got this music box kind of thingy in it, like these dings and things. It's cool as shit. It's really, sadly, one of the only things I do really remember about the song, but that's what
Well, the thing what's funny about Spiders,
gravitated me to
I've heard it a few times because I listened to this album multiple times, you know, and
I've only listened to it once.
Right, I'm a bigger Slipknot fan, so.
Yeah. We got the big Slipknot fan and the guy who's like, you know what, I like these dudes, I need to check them out, but I still haven't dove. The deepest I dove was when we did that retro a couple years ago.
What's funny is to me is that Spiders reminded me of a Mushroomhead song.
And see, I don't know shit from Mushroomhead.
Right, and you would like Mushroomhead more than you would like Slipknot.
You think so?
I know so. As knowing with the music style that you're into, you would definitely go towards Mushroomhead because they have a more experimental sound than what Slipknot. But Mushroomhead has this weird kind of jazzy groove to a lot of their songs. Okay. And they have a rapper. I don't remember his name because I have a few Mushroomhead CDs, but I never really got into them as a group, just their music. And so their rapper, like the Spiders, sounds like a Mushroomhead song because all I'm picturing is the rapper from Mushroomhead coming in and just breaking it down to it. And if any of y'all out there listen to Mushroomhead and then listen to Spiders, you'll be like, holy shit, it sounds like a fucking Mushroomhead song, right? And it also sounds like I was expecting maybe Marilyn Manson to join in on there because it had that same, especially Marilyn Manson's newer stuff, his new style that he's been going with the last few albums. He's had like 2 or 3 albums. He has that same kind of groove to a lot of his songs. At least that's what I felt. But he's gone away from the dope show and gotten into this more grown-up style of
Bland.
goth.
Bland is all fuck.
Goth music.
Oh,
but that's what I
lame
was expecting.
and bland.
I was thinking though, I was like, okay, this could be a Marilyn Manson song.
It could be. I can.
Though
hear
it's
it.
better than a Marilyn Manson
To me,
song.
it'd be like a really good Marilyn Manson song 10 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, it's something like that. And that's what I got the feeling of when I listened to
Before
Spiders.
Eat Me, Drink Me, probably early 2000s.
One thing, I think it's either the song or the, I can't remember, it's not, it's Pain or the one after
My
that?
Pain.
My Pain.
My Pain.
Where they have this fucking, what kind of beer is
This is Elysian Super Fuzz. Elysian's one of my go-to, one of my go-to craft beers. You got a beard. You like craft beer, I'm sure.
I like
You have a beard, so it
I
tells
have a
me
beard,
you
so it's
like-
all crafty.
Yeah, you have a beard, so that tells me you only drink IPAs. And
No, I don't drink IPAs. This is the only beers I
your
don't
beard tells me you drink IPAs.
It's gross. I hate IPAs. Anyway, so I think it's My Pain, or it's one of those songs, but it has this old school fucking Casio keyboard part.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember I was like, holy shit. And then, but the first thing comes to my head, because I listen to way too much music.
And you're talking about My Pain?
I think it's My Pain or
Right after Orphan?
it's either My Pain or Not Long for This World. I want to say it's My Pain though. It starts off with this Casio fucking keyboard, like kind of piano thing. And it reminded me of A Lap Dance Is So Much Better When a Hooker's Crying.
Yeah.
Like, because it's the same fucking Casio sound. So I'm thinking, like, the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, a lap dance is so much better when a stripper's crying. And I was like, this is hilarious, because, I mean, but I see, the thing is that you would never hear that on a Slipknot album. You've never heard anything like that. Right. Exactly. It's that same fucking tune, though.
I'm going to have to, like, turn that back on and...
Listen to it and you're gonna go, holy shit! Like
I didn't
it's the
hear
same
that
fucking
first,
thing. And everything on a lot of albums I'll listen to, and it always reminds me of something I've heard before.
Always.
But the thing is being on a Slipknot album, it's kind of one of those things you're like, holy shit, they're trying something different. And even Sean stated that we've experimented a lot of stuff. So I think now thinking about it, Not Long for This World is the most forgettable song on the entire album. I don't remember much from it. Even if I listen to it right now, come back, I'd still forget half of it. Because it is a slower song in parts of it, but it just lyrically did not do anything for me. The song-wise, it did not do anything for me. And then you get the closer, which is So We're First. And I love that song. That song's fucking heavy as shit. And I think it's the perfect, for a Slipknot album, ending it heavy is the best way to go for it.
Yeah.
And I think it comes right after Not Long for This Pain. So I think it's what happened is that track should have been towards the beginning rather than the end. And this is where I would have put the Birth of the Cruel right before Solway First, because then you have heavy, because you already had Spiders, and then Not Pain, which are, Not Pain, or My Pain kind of goes into a heavier thing towards the end of that song. Goes right into Birth of the Cruel, and then ends with Solway First. That's what I would have done, and left. I think Not Long for This World should have been left towards the beginning, with all the rest, Unsainted and the weaker side of the things. But like I said, that's the only weakness I really saw on this album. Everything else I remember. Like Birth of the Cruel has an old school rock and roll kind of, like you said earlier. What's the band?
Well, I was talking about Rolling Stones.
Right, it has that Rolling Stones kind of rock style though, on that first song, or on that second song. I mean, the Birth of the Cruel, how he sings it.
Yeah.
Like not the guitars obviously, but how he sings it is really kind of like that old school kind of rock and roll style. And, you know, it had heavy moments, that was Slipknot, but his singing portion of it was rock and roll. It was not metal. And I think that's why that song's so weak to me. Is because I was like, you know, it had a good flow. Lyrically, it was fucking awesome. But instrumentally and how Taylor sang it, it should have been something that maybe should have been either left off or maybe brought into those 11 songs that are going to be released. But that's just my opinion. As an album, now to end it for me, because it's every song, as a full album, I think this is probably ranked tied with their first album for me. Because me, I like I said, when we did the retrospective of Slipknot a couple years ago, it's pretty much one of my favorite albums. It's the heaviest. It was around the time when I first started getting into Slipknot. A lot of stuff when I was younger, kind of, you know, I could kind of go with, and I still fucking jam out to Iowa. You can always fucking headbang to that shit, and it has like the best Slipknot songs. Secondly, as I said when we did the retrospectives, the Gray Chapter to me was everything good about Slipknot in one CD. Like, they took everything that they did well on every one of their albums and put it into the Gray Chapter, which is why it's number 2. That, and it was a dedication to their bassist who, you know, died.
Yeah.
So, entire-wise, to me, that's a better album than the new one. Now, the new one is good. It flows well, how it is, even though, except there's a couple exceptions, like I said. But as a full album, if you see it on the whole, it's a good album. You know, it's not bad. You know, you can go back to it, and it's an hour and 5. It's like an hour and 5 minutes long. So it goes fast. You don't feel like it's an hour after listening to it all. Even with the slower songs that kind of slow down a little bit in the middle and get heavy again, it doesn't feel like it's an hour. You can listen to it for an hour and be like, okay, and then come back to it the next day and listen to it again, and you don't feel bored with it. You know, you're like, because there's always something you're picking out of that album for a Slipknot album. So, and like I said, I tie it with the first album because for me, I didn't get into Slipknot until Iowa. So and then the styling, that crazy, you know, energy that was on the first one, I think this new one kind of has that energy to it.
I can hear that in his vocals a lot. There's
Right.
that more sort of up and down craziness
Right.
to his vocal style on here that I like a lot.
Right, and
That's why I like the first one as much as I
Right.
do, because it's got this sort of frantic, like, hey motherfucker, something.
Yeah, it's
you know,
energetic.
like,
It's got
yeah.
the same emotional styling to it, and I think when Sean said that it has Iowa moments, and you could definitely pick them out, the Iowa moments, because Iowa is a dark city. The whole album is very dark, and that's how I think this album is very dark. Yeah, it's emotional because it's all Corey Taylor's and his emotions with his ex. Every song, I'm not kidding. You listen to every song, and you're gonna go, "This is about a girl." Or you know, a guy, depending on, not judging, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, I tie it with. I don't want to put it less than the first out. You know, the Slipknot self-titled. But I don't want to put
it's
it
20
above.
years ago.
Right, and I don't want to put it above that because that kind of evens out for me. And then obviously, so last time I said All Hope Was Gone was better than Subliminal Verses. As I've gotten older the last 2 years, I re-listened to All Hope Is Gone, and I have to rebuttal that. I have to go back on my saying, y'all are right, that is their worst album. They have a lot of good songs on there, but it's not that great. And I was really disappointed after doing that. And I actually, when you tell yourself that, damn, that album was actually worse than I thought, you know, it's kind of like, well, oh well. But I still like the album.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Like,
I still hate Subliminal Verses for the most part.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say Subliminal Verses was a better instrumental album than All Hope Is Gone. It had a better flow, even though I don't like most of the songs on there. I put it above All Hope Is Gone. And that's how I'm going to pretty much say...
Like, you will always, because I am still like, it's so hard for me to make definitive lists because your opinion can change on a month's notice. Especially for music, because it's always about how you feel in the moment, how you felt when you first heard it, how you feel as you're older. Like, it's always changing. And like you just said, you'll always like the songs, but you can see that the one that you don't like as much is better.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. And
it's all adulting. Your ears do it too.
but it's like it's because I'm the same way with a lot of shit, you know, and it's so hard to make a definitive. This is my favorite next to this one.
At this time.
Yeah, at this time, you
kind
know.
of thing. I would say if I was to rank the entire Slipknot album discography, not including their live albums, because 9.0 is fucking better, way better than their newest one that they did in Mexico City. Mainly because the recording's better. But 9.0 is a fucking sick live album. So if you need a good live Slipknot album, that's the one to go with. But if I was to rank all their main albums, though, I would definitely say that Iowa, The Gray Chapter, and then tied would be the new one and the self-title. And then it goes Slipknot Versus and All Hope Is Gone. And that would be my ranking for Slipknot's album. And like I said, I can always go back to Iowa and still listen to that as an adult and still find something about it that's just like, holy shit, I wish I didn't notice this before. And that's just because the Iowa album is so fucking crazy. Like it's all just nuts.
So what rating on 1 to 10 would you give We Are Not Your Kind?
I would say an 8.2.
8.2?
And mainly because, like I said, they have a couple weak songs in there, but like I said, as an entirety, the album works really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to give it a 10 because I watched a review and they gave it a 10 out of 10, and I don't see that. After listening to it, I've listened to this album at least 6 to 7 times, right, since it's been out, all the way through. Like from track A to track, I don't skip around on the album. From track 1 to the last track, I've listened all the way through at least 6 to 7 times. And as an entirety, I'd say an 8.2 to 8.5. 8.2 is mainly because I don't know. So like yeah, I would say it's at least
Weak songs definitely knock some points off. But
they do, but I think like if you go with how it's set up, again, if those stronger songs were put at the beginning of it, and then the weaker songs were put at the end, like I said, it's all about layout too of how the songs are. Because if you did it that way, then the entire album would flow terribly and it would suck. It would be like, oh, that's awesome, then it just blows off to nothing, and then you ended the album with Unsainted. That would be terrible. Don't do that. I'm glad they started with their radio songs though, because it just got better as I listened to the entire.
That is true. Because a weird thing is too, like some albums, I don't like it when they put the singles all at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Because I'll be like, oh, I know this song, skip. I know this song, skip.
I forced myself to it through Unsainted a couple times because
because you want to hear the flow. You know,
right.
You want to hear the. Because to me, when it comes to singles, I'm like, all right, yeah, the single's cool on its own, but how does it fit in the context of the album?
Exactly.
You know, and so I'm like, I gotta hear from start to finish how this thing works, and a lot of times when you get. Let's say especially like back in the day, let's say 4 or 5 singles, and then they're all at the beginning of the album. That kind of annoys me because I'm like, I hear these.
You have to skip half the album.
Yeah, skip half the album to get to the
because you overheard
deep cuts.
it.
Exactly.
You've already listened to it a million times on the radio.
When one good example of an album that had a ton of singles, but they're all spread out across the whole album is Blood Sugar Sex Magic from Chili Peppers. Like. It'll be like deep cut, single, deep cut, single, and it's like, it's spread out really good. But y'all pay attention to his opinion, because mine is like a more outsider or casual fan opinion. Because like David is the biggest Slipknot fan that I know, and me. I've just always kind of been casual. Like I'm like, they're cool and all, but I never dug too deep. And so listening to this album, like I said, when I got to Unsainted, I just couldn't even remember that was the song you and I had reviewed, And so the whole time I'm listening to this album, I'm like, damn, is that song even on here? But like some of the more interesting stuff on here to me is the left turns, the shit that I wasn't expecting, because for the most part I'm expecting it to sound like what Slipknot sounds like, which I don't mind, because there's a lot of stuff about Slipknot that reminds me of Fear Factory. If you took Fear Factory and ripped out all the cybernetics and shit and Bill Burton C. Bell's magnificent vocals.
They came out around the same time, didn't they? Or Fear
Nah.
Factory came out a few years before.
Yeah, Fear Factory is like, first
Around
one was
Korn.
like 92.
Korn and Fear Factory came out around the same time.
Yeah, around there, yeah.
But see, it was because of Slipknot that Fear Factory came out with that new metal album.
Yeah, and that's a great fucking album, that Digimortal.
Right.
That's really fucking good.
But that's all due to Slipknot, because that was the big thing back then.
Yeah, and it does, that one does remind me a lot of like Slipknot's, especially like Slipknot's first album.
Right.
It reminds me of Digimortal. But there's a lot of Slipknot stuff that reminds me of Fear Factory, and I love Fear Factory, but I like Fear Factory because Burton's fucking voice is amazing, and because he can sing really fucking good, and he's got that deep voice that I really like, and then his screams are fairly unique. With Corey Taylor, I like him better when he's doing that frantic kind of, almost a rap kind of style with it, but just the frantic sort of schizophrenic flow that he has. I like that the most. When he's screaming, I'm like, screams to me, you gotta have a real unique scream for me to be like, oh yeah, the screams are cool. Because I'm like, yeah, the screams are cool, but what else? What else is here?
If you go by that though, nobody sounds like Corey Taylor.
Huh? Yeah, nobody sounds like you. You
Like,
can tell it's Corey Taylor.
Right? And there are plenty of bands that have similar screams.
Yeah.
The real low ones, and then you got the same high ones, and
But I like
hardcore metal bands.
See, my thing is like his screams are cool, but I like him better when he's doing his frantic thing.
Right.
So that to me is part of his.
That's Slipknot right there.
That to me is part of his weaponry. That's his arsenal right there when I'm listening to him, because I'm like, all right, here's the screaming part, but then boom, he comes in with the weird frantic shit,
Right.
and I'm like, all right, this is worth the admission right here, because that's what I want to hear. The screams are bonus, you know what I mean? And so I like that there's a lot of that more franticness on here. And then as far as some of the other shit, the metal is good. The metal, when it's heavy, it's heavy, and I dig it. But I like the more weirder sounds, like the shit on spiders,
right?
The stuff,
experimental style
the random ass shit
Yeah,
that you don't normally hear. Like when you had mentioned, that what was it? Which one was the standard sort of typical Slipknot song?
Yeah, that's Orphan.
Yeah, Orphan. That's I totally understand what you mean by that, because I'm wanting to hear more weirdness or more randomness, because I don't know, because I'm older now, like you said, I'm just older now, and I'm like, I'm glad you guys did that. There's a song or two for the 13-year-old me, but now
Right,
we still got a lot
another
of...
thing, they did stuff different.
Yeah.
Spiders, they've never done that style on any Slipknot album.
And I dig that. I'm like, that's really cool.
And that was a new kind of thing that they were going with. And then, like I said, when they did the Liar's Funeral, that March part.
Yeah, I love funeral dirge kind of shit.
Yeah.
That was rad. And what I liked most about that song was, at first I'm like, is this gotta be a slow song? But I listened, I'm like, alright, that guitar's rad. There's almost this southernness to it that that I really like.
With the Corey Taylor scream.
Yeah,
and okay.
it with each chug of this fucking dirge, man, it's like you could tell it's building to something, and then when it comes in, it's heavy, but it doesn't really get any faster.
Right. It's not a lot.
It's got more of a punch to it.
Exactly.
Instead of just getting fast.
Right, and that's you could tell on that. Like I said, that's one of my favorite songs on there, is because, like you said, like I told you, it is like the perfect way that Slipknot as a band, right, can do a slow, softer song. And I think, like I said, out of all the albums that they've had, this is that one song is like how they've mastered it since then. Like I said, Subliminal Verses was all soft songs, so you can't really compare it to that, because it had basically Stone Sour. It was Stone Sour. It was when Corey Taylor was like, I'm gonna try something new.
I have that one Stone Sour album, and I've never listened to it.
There you go. So don't. The first one's the only good one.
That's the one I have. I
then
think.
maybe listen to it. You might actually enjoy it. As an older person, you may actually enjoy it more now than you would have, 15 years ago.
I remember I used to hate on Stone Sour in like the mid 2000s, but then they did that one song that I really dug that was semi-Pink Floyd-y to me, and I forget what it was even called. So, yeah.
ZZX, right?
If I just typed in their music videos, I could tell, because the music video was, I don't know, it looked like cardboard cutout people.
ZZYX word.
Okay,
I like that. That was the Looking Glass or some shit.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it.
Looking at you through the glass. That one.
I think I dug that song. I'd have to hear it again. It's been, what, 13 years?
Yeah, that was their second album.
Yeah, it's been years.
That album's their first album was Corey Taylor saying, okay, I just came from Slipknot, so I still have this heaviness to it, but I want to do a more rocker.
But wasn't he doing Stone Sour before he joined?
Right, but he didn't have an album out.
Yeah, I mean, as a band,
the first album came out
as
after
thing.
Slipknot's first album.
Yeah.
So he was,
So back to, back to Slipknot here. I dig a lot of what's going on this album. Like I said, the left turns, like the Death Because of Death, that, especially being so early on the album, because I liked Insert Coin. That was a really cool intro, but I was like, all right, this is your intro track.
They did that a lot, though, because they did that with XIV on the last album.
Oh, yeah, I barely fucking remember.
XIV was, it was an intro, like, a minute long.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's cool.
Song.
Cool little intro. Then you got the Unsainted, and I just couldn't remember. I was like, all right, this is cool. But I dug the shit out of that choir stuff. Birth of the Cruel, I really don't remember much about. But then, like I said, it's almost like when you get to Death Because of Death, the album starts over.
Right.
Like it gives you this stuff at the very beginning, and then boom, here's another intro to another part of the album. And from there, kind of like what you're saying, like from there to Liar's Funeral, I'm like all in. Because Nero Forte was bad as fuck. That one had all of everything that I want when I hear Slipknot. It had the frantic, wild vocal delivery, just some really cool heavy shit, cool noise, and then Critical Darling was bad as fuck, and then like I said, Liar's Funeral, really fucking, like one of my favorite tracks on here, just because of the more suspenseful build that it has. Red Flag, I don't remember much about.
Red Flag, as a song, again, that's one of those typical Slipknot songs, except for I think what I liked more about it is that they gave Sid Wilson, their DJ, a big part in that song.
See, that's one I'm going to have to listen to again, because you mentioned the DJ, and I'm like, damn, dude, I don't really remember that part, and I like hearing DJ shit.
Like, there's weird DJ sounds in there, so I mean, it's kind of like these things.
So if I listen to that song again, I'd probably, there's 9 fucking people.
There's 9 fucking people. I mean, you're always going to hear the drummer. Always. You're always going to hear Mick Thompson and Jim Root because they're the guitarists. You're always going to hear the V-Man, which is the new bassist. He used to be on Crocodile something. I don't know, I never listened to him. Some heavier band or whatever, but you'll hear V-Man, and like you'll always hear those main instruments. But it's when you hear...
And you don't hear the DJ shit much anymore because it's not 1999 anymore.
Right.
Like, that's the main thing. So I gotta listen to that song again and pay a little more attention.
Right.
Because I do miss that DJ shit, especially if you had a cool DJ. Cause
there's a lot of DJ parts in there, though. And so anything you hear piano on, though.
Yeah, there was some piano
that's
shit on
That's not the DJ,
here.
though. That's really cool. Craig, which is or not Craig,
and see, I can't match a name to a mask in this fucking band. Sean Clown is like the only one I can
Clown.
put
Mick Thompson's
a name
the big
to,
fucking metal face, like big old fucking bulk, looks like you with a mask on and more hair. And then
you know what thing I loved about Slipknot and their whole, because people are like, oh, masks, gimmicks. I love gimmicks. We talked about this during the Slipknot review of the songs. One thing I always did love about Slipknot's aesthetic is they always reminded me of the Cenobites from Hellraiser.
This is why you need to get into Mushroom Head.
Right? Like, because I know they got like a look like that.
They are the Cenobites in a metal band. And like, they're a lot, I think Mushroom Head.
I wouldn't say like Slipknot, like the because they're all like a different type of monster
Yeah.
or creature or whatever. But I totally see what you mean by like, because I've seen Mushroom Head like pictures of them, and they look like Cenobites could be in a band. But that's what Slipknot reminds me of. Is like you got these different ones, all part of a group.
And they change their mask every album. Some good,
like they change their
some
masks,
terrible.
but they always kind of keep it. Like one thing I've noticed is the mask becomes less and less engrossed over the face. Like nowadays, you just got this much on
depends
Corey.
on who the mask is for. So
Because
Corey
like,
Taylor,
that shit's got to get fucking hot, man.
right? Well, see,
You're playing a 2-hour show, you know, every night or two, man. That shit.
Yeah, they brought back the white gel outfits because you know it's fucking hot. Well, the thing is each mask you can always tell which one's which, right? The thing is nowadays, like the last 2 albums, because they got Joey Jordison's no longer there, with the band, and then Paul Gray died, so both of them, and then they just fired Craig whatever fucking last name is, which is the Nose. They fired his ass because he tried to sue them.
Yeah.
So they got Tortilla Man now, who has no name because nobody knows who the fuck he is. So he is. Even the band themselves have gone, that's Tortilla Man. That's where we're going with. No joke. Any interview they talk about, they say, well, Tortilla Man's a cool dude. He knows all this. Apparently, Tortilla Man has a degree in music or some shit. He has like a music theory degree.
Rad.
Like a master's degree in that shit. And then he plays piano and all this other shit.
There's so much he can bring into
He's that dude, like, Tortilla Man better not fuck up.
Yeah.
Because they just fired a dude that's been with them for 20 years, and they're like, yeah, you ain't worth shit. I tell you that much. The people, Corey, but Jim Root is, okay, if you put it towards how I would describe it, Jim Root is, what was Paul Stanley's name?
He was the Star Child.
The Star Child, that's Jim Root. He's the Star Child. He has the fucking mask where it has like a star on one eye.
Oh,
and the fucking, but see, no one ever, he had 2 stars when he first started. It was 2 red stars and a pointy beard on his first mask. That mask really hasn't changed any. He doesn't have the pointy beard anymore because he has a real beard that's fucking long as shit. It's like huge.
It just took over that
part
of the mask.
that took off part of the, so really it encompasses here, and then but that still stays the same. And then Mick Thompson hasn't changed his mask. He's updated it, but he's never changed it. It's the same fucking style. It has the bars here. It's pointed. It has like this I'm fucking gonna murder you in your fucking eyebrows kind of style. It's the same fucking mask from the first album to the newest one. You're just like, it's just newer materials, but it's the same thing. And that's one thing I loved about Mick Thompson, is that he's just like, fuck that shit, I'm not changing shit. And then Clown has always changed his style with how he feels per album. And because he's the more he's the one that he writes a lot of the music itself. It's like the drums and the guitar. He helps out with a lot of how what's produced, because he's their artist. All the videos are done by Sean. I mean, a lot of the music, if it flows here, and he says no, fuck that shit. He's the one that runs that shit. I mean, Sean, because of him, they spent $40,000 on their demo to become Slipknot. Because of him, he was like, no, I'm going all in.
And you're talking about the one that
Clown.
Are you? I mean, the demo is, or are you talking about like that first album?
First Kill, or the Kill Repeat.
I wish they would re-release that, because there's some interesting shit on that album.
Well, that was before Corey Taylor and a lot of their people, but
some interesting stuff on there though.
Well, no, that wasn't the album. The album with Sick on it. Their demo was Sick, and Sick is actually, if you didn't know, the song Sick that's on their first album is actually the actual demo. It was so good because they spent $40,000 on this recording. They used the demo song because of how good it was.
It's ridiculous.
It is. So, but Sean's the creator, so he goes, I've seen plenty of interviews with a lot of the people, like I'm a big Slipknot fan, and Sean has stated that how he feels is how the mask portrays him. So like, his first mask was a clown mask. It was a fucking Halloween clown mask that he put on. He's like, because you're crazy, he was into a whole bunch of shit. He was all, just wild and going at it and young or whatever. And then it goes into, I don't remember the Iowa mask, to be honest, but in Subliminal Verses he had the wrapped up face where his whole mask was wrapped up except for the nose and like a certain portion of him, and that was him healing from that his particular woes and shit that's happened in the last few before albums, and that was him doing that. And then the last album, it was more clown than getting fully of his full mask. And then now full silver out fucking clown face. It's the best of him, of what he's been. It's just how he feels as that is him. So whenever the next fucking clown will be, it's all based on how he feels as that character.
It's interesting.
And then obviously the drummer and the bassist, V-Man and Jay Weinberg, are both the newest people. They don't really get to pick their masks.
And you gotta love that
they can be funny.
Max Weinberg's son. That is Max Weinberg's son, right?
Yeah, from...
You gotta fucking love that
really.
Max Weinberg's son is in Slipknot.
Well, see, he's been a fan since he was 10.
That's fucking rad.
He was, his dad introduced him to Slipknot.
That is rad.
He said, hey, look, and literally, he brought them to the backstage. He's like, hey, this is my son.
E Street Band's fucking son is in Slipknot, man. That's fucking rad as fuck.
Right.
But let me get back to this.
Yeah, keep going on. The Slipknot history.
When, after Red Flag, you get another little interlude with what's next, which is cool. But then there's probably After Spiders is my least favorite part of the album. But it's weird because the way all this flows, it's almost, there's like 3 acts here. You got intro, 2 songs, intro, and then 4 songs, and intro, and then what is that?
Kind of thing.
Another 4 tracks. So it was like there's like 3 acts here, and like you said, my favorite's definitely the middle half as well. But that doesn't hurt the album because there's stuff I don't remember, but I remember enjoying it enough when I listen to it. Like I said, I only listened to it once.
And like I said, it's an hour. Doesn't feel like it. You can go back
you
to
don't
it
feel
and re-listen.
I didn't feel the length. And like I said, I'm more of a casual fan, and there's certain things in Slipknot that I look forward to, and I'm glad that there was enough experimentation on here and enough of the tried and true that I didn't get bored. I was like, all right, this is cool, this is different, this is cool, and then all right, this is the same, that's cool, and then yeah, this is a little but for an Slipknot is one of those bands who, when they are pretty average, they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
Because there are other bands, when they do their average thing, you're like, ugh. Like with Korn, man, dude, like...
Korn's hit and miss, man.
Yeah, I am like, ooh, with Korn, so with Slipknot's a little refreshing when it comes to that, and I hate that I started paying attention to them so late in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So...
I feel that, like I said, over time, like the first listen I did on the new album, I was super excited to hear it because, like I said, I've been a Slipknot fan since Iowa at least. I love their first album, but Iowa's where it started, and ever since then though. So this is 2002, so that's almost 20 years I've been a Slipknot, a maggot, as they say. And I hate name titles, but I would definitely suggest they have juggalos, people out there. I would say I'm a maggot. I mean, I'm a huge Slipknot geek. But I try to be, and then but this whole album, the more I listen to it, every time I've listened to it, I find something more I like, even about the songs that I don't like or that I don't really hear to. I find something I like about it more. Yeah. And I think it's one of those albums I can keep going and keep listening until I've overdone the whole album.
And those are always the best albums because it gives you a reason to listen to it more. Because if it was everything you wanted in one go, you might put it down for a long time, but you're constantly listening to it. This thing's been out a month now, and I'm not bored with it.
No, I mean I still jam the shit out of it.
And you're still finding things to like you said, even if the songs you don't like all that much, you're liking a little more because you're noticing little nuances,
little things and stuff. And like I said, I think there are skippable songs, and I think it's because of the radio. Because like I said, I skipped over Unsainted because I've listened to it 3 times. And then I've heard it a billion times on the radio.
And then my main thing too is like I hate having to hit skip so early on an album.
Right.
And so
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I can totally get that.
Now I've also pretty much got everything I can from that song, the Unsainted song.
Yeah, because you were probably listening to it
when it was a few weeks before when it came out, when it first came out. Unsainted, and then I heard All Out Life. I love that song to death.
Because if I listen to a single, normally I try not to listen to a single because I don't like to spoil any of the album for myself. And sometimes I'll listen to one song. I'll normally have a one song limit because I just hate spoiling an album for me. If there's going to be only 14 tracks or less, you know, I want to hear all that in one go. But I'll check out one song, especially if it's something like Korn, for instance. I'm going to check out that one song just to see if it's worth it. Yeah. But other bands that I know that I like, I'm like, I can hold off. I can wait a couple more months. I can wait a couple more weeks. And I just won't listen to it. But I don't even remember where I was. Oh, so yeah. So to me, that's why I really just forgot Unsainted, because I listened to it that one time with you, and
you don't listen to the radio, though, so.
Yeah, I don't listen to the radio at all.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I listen to it, but see, like I said, I've gotten everything out of Unsainted that I can. You know, there's nothing else. Once you hear that, like, it's certain songs that you just hear. Once you hear over and over again, you're like, okay, well, I'm done with you, kind of thing. And I think that even on the album itself, I need to listen to Red Flag and Orphan more, because I think there's still more that I can probably get out of it. Like, I know the Red Flag, I caught a couple times the whole Sid Wilson DJ style stuff, and I was just like, I didn't hear that the first time, or I didn't notice it really, because I was too into paying attention to certain things.
Like I said, I didn't notice that either, and I gotta check that out again. A lot of this, I mean, like, this is also a first time listen for me, so. Like I said, he's the one to really pay attention to. If you're somebody like me and you're just on the fence, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, it's
definitely worth checking out. I mean, over 20 years in the game, to me, Slipknot, Slipknot, when I'm more familiar with something like Korn, and I'm less familiar with something like Slipknot, Slipknot have more good albums than bad albums, whereas Korn have way more bad albums than good albums. And that's saying something, man, because like some of those bands who came out of that scene, that, you know, a lot of them weren't really good after the first album, and a lot of them made it to 3 or 4 albums, got pretty lame, and some of them, well, one of them, like System of a Down, made 5 fantastic albums and knew when to call it quits. So it's just weird like that.
The new metal scene was one of those things where there were bands, like you said, though, that came out like I like Edema's first album, but nobody remembers Edema.
Nobody remembers Edema.
They have like 4 albums, I think. I've heard 3 out of the 4, and they suck. The first one, it sucks now that I'm older, but I mean, I'll still enjoy the songs because they're nostalgia.
Yeah.
But because I can't honestly say that I'm a fan of Edema, but I like the first album.
Same thing. I'm the same way with other bands that came out in that scene. For instance, Static X.
I love all their albums are good actually.
Static X, Orgy, and Godsmack. Love the first Godsmack album. Hated everything else I ever heard them do, but that first one. From start to finish, I'm all about.
Right, yeah, I'm the same way with that.
Same thing with Static X. That first one, now I haven't heard all the Static X. I only have Wisconsin Death Trip, which everyone should own.
Right.
And then I have the one after that, Machine or whatever. And that one's a little boring.
That one.
But I haven't heard anything after that. But Wayne Static is one of those dudes that I'm like, he is a cool motherfucker, or was a cool motherfucker.
Yeah, his fucking hair.
And so I want to check out his other little Pig Hammer
albums,
band or whatever. But so they're ones that But then like Power Man 5000 came out of that scene too, and I really like the Kung Fu Radio, whatever the fuck album that was. Basically the one before Tonight the Stars Revolt, and I love Tonight the Stars Revolt. But all the fucking Power Man 5000 I heard after that, I can't stand. And they're all aesthetically they're all different bands, because you can easily say Power Man is more industrial, Static X is more industrial, but that's why they called it new metal, because it was just a catch-all for all that new style of metal coming out, But even Orgy, man, Candy Ass, phenomenal album.
Everything after that's forgettable.
Yeah, fucking, I like a lot of stuff off of the one after that with the Dreams in Digital, but it's a lame album. But yeah, it's weird. But some bands, Deftones, have a really good discography and they're still putting out decent shit. Slipknot, decent enough discography, they're still putting out shit. But yeah, I mean it's rare. It's rare as fuck.
It is rare. Like a lot of bands nowadays don't make it past 3 albums, and like I mean, look at all, like pretty much any new metal band, other than the few big ones. You know, Mudvayne, they
that one album. That's another one. The first album, phenomenal. Everything else I ever heard them
Second
do,
album was okay. Third album was
garbage.
shit. Everything with Happy on it was terrible.
And then when they even, like, I don't mind Pantera all that much, but even when they hook up with Pantera and give us Hell Yeah, garbage. I don't like none of the Hell. I like the Alcohol and Ass, but I haven't heard the rest of the album, so I don't know how that holds. But everything else, other than, because I have Stampede, I fucking hate that album. I'm like, this shit does not do it for me. But I like the Alcohol and Ass song. I mean,
and the thing,
it might just show how basic I am, but
yeah, I think a lot of the thing is that Slipknot, the ones that last the longest are what I read, where I saw or read at one time, is that the ones that last are the ones pretty much the forefront. Still going?
yeah, it's still going. I'm just trying to check the battery. Oh, we are actually about out of battery.
But yeah, so you know those bands are the ones the frontier that led it. That's why Korn's still around, Slipknot's still around,
Korn is
Deftones
still around.
is because they were the. I mean, even Jonathan Davis was in an interview. He even stated, you know, we were the last time there was a movement in metal, which I kind of agree
In the
with.
mainstream, definitely.
I kind of agree with, mainly because they blew up. I mean, TLC, they blew up on MTV. They were huge. They did stuff with No Doubt. What the fuck? And I mean, they started the whole.
What'd they do with No Doubt?
Well, they toured with No Doubt.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like they did
Yeah, but
songs
they
with
popularized. I think like they popularized. They got metal people into metal. Korn did. Their first, you know, that the '90s was grungy, and then they got into.
Yeah, because when you look at '94, when that first Korn album comes out, there was nothing else on MTV or in mainstream rock that sounded like that.
Right.
You know, because like you said, it was mostly the grungy guys, and those guys were pretty metal, but they weren't like Korn. And Korn wasn't like any metal that came before it, and in many ways, any metal that came after. Like even all the other bands who came out within that scene, none of them sounded like Korn, and a lot of them did sound unique amongst each other.
Right.
Until the mainstream started to focus on the 3 or 4 things that made that scene what it was, and that's when they started paying attention to Limp Bizkit and then saying, well, let's follow more bands that
Linkin
sound
Park.
like Limp Bizkit. Yeah, exactly, where it's a little more rap. The Butterfly Guys.
Crazy Town.
Yeah, you know, we talked about all this in our new metal video several months back, but yeah, it's true like that.
So
but Slipknot, alright, you were about to ask me when I rate it?
Yeah, what do you
I want a
rate
cigarette.
it? Yeah.
I rate it. I give it an 8. For a first time listen, I liked it enough to where I want to hear more, and I need to buy the rest of their shit because I've only got that first one, but I'll eventually get there. I'll eventually. Get there.
Eventually. One day.
One day.
One
man.
day. It's like 2027.
Yeah, 2027.
One day.
Be like, we'll
I'm
do
44 years old. I finally got them all.
Well, yeah, it'll be like that new. It'll be the new collection video that year, 2027.
Right.
I'm like,
It's finally when new metal comes out.
yeah, I'm like, oh man, finally finished
metal.
the fucking Slipknot collection.
I honestly think that you should have a new metal shelf. There's so much different new metal out there. There's bands that are underrated. Like I said, Mushroom Head has like 9 albums. Or like 8 or 9 albums, and they are so underrated. And I could, like I said, I could talk a whole thing about Mushroom Head though, because I like them. I have a couple of their albums.
Yeah, you got me into fucking Deftones, you know.
I would suggest listening to Mushroom Head.
And I have just about all the Deftones now. I don't have.
There you go.
I don't have that one that has a Japanese style title. Which one is that?
Yoikoi something. I can't remember.
Whatever. That's the only one I don't have.
Yoikoi Sai. I don't remember.
I even got their little B-side album with their covers and shit. But I give the album an 8. It's worth checking out. For some,
It's good.
Yeah, if you're a major fan like David,
You already have it.
you've already got it, and you either dig it or you're indifferent. But if you're on the fence and you're like, man, this band's been around
If you
25,
like metal,
30 years.
You need to listen to it. If you like metal.
Yeah, if you like metal, it's worth checking out.
It's
if
worth
you like heavy metal.
If you like,
For a band who's been around this long, it's still pretty fucking cool. So I mean, it's weird that we're at the point now where metal bands we grew up with are
all out.
as old as the metal bands our parents grew up with were like 20 years ago. It's like.
Again, I was
When
watching.
this was coming out, like, my uncles are all like, man, that shit's not as cool as Metallica. Man, that shit's not as cool as Iron Maiden or Anthrax,
Yeah, but us millennials, we're like, they're better.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Metallica.
So, like, it's crazy that we're at this point now where, like, but I still couldn't be like, I'll still be like, whatever this new thing is, I'll be like, yeah, it's worth checking out. But I'm not going to be like, Rob Zombie's better than whatever you're listening to, little kid. Because I know,